to Standing in the Sunlight with Cynthia Rose. We are all on an ever-unfolding unique journey. Join Cynthia Rose as she begins her unique perspective to all that is meaningful. Topics and personalities that support your path, bringing inspiration and passion and heart-centered ways to live a more fulfilling life. A down-to-earth and uplifting sharing of what it means to be spiritual, creative, and living life to the fullest by standing in the sunlight. Born an intuitive medium, Cynthia Rose is also an ordained minister, singer, astrologer, educator, and writer. She has studied the intuitive and healing arts for over 40 years. Rise up and stand in your sunlight now with Cynthia Rose.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited for this show today. Today, we're bringing a guest all the way from South Africa, and Francoise Malby Anthony. And I have to say, I'm a little choked up because you're going to hear a little bit about how we came to be connected and what she does. And many of listeners may or may not know I'm a big animal lover. I think it's our job to take care of the animals. And that's exactly what Francoise Malby Anthony is doing. I'm going to actually bring her on the show to talk all about it so that I get all the information right. Francoise, are you there?
Yes, Cynthia. Good evening. It's evening in South Africa. But I'm very happy to be in the show with you, Cynthia.
I'm so excited. So you're in South Africa at Thula Thula, which is a conservation reserve. Yes?
That's it, exactly. It's a game reserve where we work for conservation project, where we've got animals roaming free. We don't do any hunting. So it's for tourists who come and do photo safaris. We bought it, Lawrence and I, my late husband Lawrence, in 1998. So we're actually celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. And so it's been a very interesting experience. And we carry on, of course. All the conservation work that my late husband started 20 years ago.
And I have to tell the listeners, so the way I came to know about you and Lawrence is I read The Elephant Whisperer, the book that he wrote. And as I was reading the book, and I have to tell you, I'm squeamish and I'm not a bush person, I think, but I was reading about the Elephant Whisperer and all he, as they call him, how he connected and saved these elephants that were going to be shot. And I was in tears for a couple of weeks. I was so moved. My heart was so moved. I said to my husband, I have to write a song about this. This is just so beautiful. It changed me knowing that somebody was doing something that I have no control over, really. Other than by donations, I have no control to make a difference because I don't have them here. And I just have so much respect. And then I was sorry to hear that he passed into the spirit world. Although I believe that we don't ever die and that love continues. So I have no doubt he's with you all the time. But that's not what the show is about today. So we are... Let's start first of all and talk about what I'd like to ask you first is he writes in his book about bringing his beautiful French wife to the bush. So how did how was it that you came to live in the bush, and tell us about your experiences of being there and the elephants? I want to let you talk.
The thing, when Lawrence, we lived for 10 years in Durban, on the coast, and then one day he told me we're going to buy a game reserve and we're going to live in the bush, and I think honestly I didn't have a clue what he was talking about, and so for me it has been a serious adjustment coming from Paris. Then Durban was small already for me, but I'm living in the bush in the middle of nowhere, and without having a clue about conservation as well. I've never been very close to nature, living in big cities, so it has been quite a bit of an adjustment. But you know what? It's been a life-changing experience, because living close to nature and living close to the animals, it's one of the most beautiful, rewarding adventure that one can dream of, you know. And I see the guests who come here, and they experience they experience the lodges. They stay at the lodge, which is luxurious, and they meet our elephants, and they all say it's a spiritual adventure to come here, because our herd of elephants, you know, the way they came up in 1999, they were trouble elephants that nobody wanted. They were going to be put down, and Lawrence, just out of his heart, just said, "No, we go to take them." We were totally unprepared, and that herd of elephants arrived at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was just their arrival was dramatic, and then that herd of elephants. Now we have 29 elephants. They're the happiest herd you've ever seen. They all got names. You know, we've got an elephant family tree. We've got our elephant has got a name and a special description of their character. They're all different, just like humans. You know, animals are just like humans. You know, you can observe animals, and you watch so many similarities with humans, above all with elephants. And I think that's why so many people love elephants, because they can recognize themselves in them, or they can recognize human emotions, you know. Elephants, they all feel emotion just like humans, like the joy, grief, anger, compassion, altruism, happiness, you know. We are so similar in a way. So that herd of elephants changed our lives completely when they arrived in 1999, because they escaped, we got them back, then they attacked us a little bit. They were very agitated, you know, when they first arrived. And
and it was because some of them had seen their family members being killed by humans. Isn't that correct?
Exactly. So they had no trust in humans at all. And this is what Lawrence created with them, a trust, back in trust with humans. And that was an amazing, successful action, because he did that. It took him a certain time, but when those elephants realized that we were not here to harm them, we were here to be good to them, eventually they calmed down. And above all, and Lawrence created an amazing relationship with the matriarch, Nana. And that matriarch, you know, they communicate with each other, the elephants. And now, after a few generations of elephants, I mean, those elephants, they know they are in a safe place at Thula Thula.
I just think it's just wonderful what you're doing, and that you've continued it on. You're an amazing woman just with that alone and all that you've done, I have to say. But I want to ask you, I read in the book that if one time his flight was delayed, or if his flight was delayed and the elephants would be walking, you know, they'd be hours away and they'd be walking to the house, and then somebody in the helicopter saw them turn around, and he had just heard that the flight was delayed by radio.
Yes, yes. The elephants most of the time used to travel a lot, and when we used to come back, the elephants would be here waiting for him, kind of thing. They're saying hello, you know, welcome back, and like that. And once he missed his flight, they arrived. They were on their way, and then for whatever reason, they just went away again. But the most amazing phenomena which happened after he passed away, I don't know if you've heard about it, Cynthia. It is the first chapter of my book, actually. Lawrence passed away in Johannesburg. and he was supposed to come back the following day. It was on a Saturday, and on the Sunday, and you know, the news of Lawrence passing away dropped like a bomb at Thula Thula. We were all, everything was like in slow motion. We were all such in shock. It was totally unexpected. He had a heart attack, but a fatal one. And we got the news at 7 o'clock in the morning on the Friday. And, you know, everyone at Thula Thula was in shock. The elephants came like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the Sunday afternoon. They came to the house. You know, to try to interpret what they were coming to do, it's always a bit difficult for people who don't know the relationship that Lawrence had with that herd. But, you know, it was about 15 years ago. There was a journalist, she came here to Thula Thula, and she had that experience with the elephants and with Lawrence. And you know what she said? She said, one day, when Lawrence passes away, these elephants will come and mourn Lawrence. And it was extraordinary that day. Those elephants, they came actually to pay their respect. They knew something was wrong. And how did they know? Who knows? But, you know, they've got an amazing sixth sense. And what was extraordinary, Cynthia, is that the following year, exactly the same day, the 4th of March, 2013, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the elephants came back.
Wow.
Exactly the same situation. And the following year, the 4th of March 2014, exactly at the same time, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the whole herd was back here at the house, standing in front of my house, and waiting, looking, waiting. You know, like looking, waiting, paying their respect. 3 years in a row, these elephants came back. That was one of the most amazing phenomena we've had in the space. You know, there is we're always free to interpret this kind of phenomena we've had. We've had so many. You know, there are so many strange phenomena here, above all with our elephants. But I mean, that was quite unique. And when you know, Lawrence and his relationship with that herd, they used to come to the house. He used to welcome them. He used to talk to them. He used to, it was his home. So they came 3 years in a row to pay their respect.
That is just amazing. And I think it's great that you're documenting that. I do remember hearing that. I know I put that in my song that I wrote about him. I thought
Yes.
that is just absolutely amazing. And it makes me think of also there was a man who had I don't remember the name of the movie, but he had a Japanese dog, and every day he would come home from the train and the dog would be there waiting at the train, and every day. And the dog, after he passed away, spent 10 years every day coming to the train.
Wow.
So much so that they started to just feed the dog, the people that worked the train station, because he was there. He just didn't leave. It's like he was holding vigil for his human, that he connected with. And I don't remember the name of the show. Richard Gere was the actor in the movie, and it was very touching. But no wonder they say elephants never forget.
Exactly. Absolutely.
I just wanted to point out, it's off the topic, but Lawrence also rescued animals during the Iraq War that were trapped in zoos under gunfire, did he not?
That's absolutely right. That's in the book Babylon's Ark, where he went, one evening we were watching an American channel, CNN, on television, and he looked at the bombing of Baghdad, and he tells me, but what's happening to the animals? And I said to him, that's a good question, because Baghdad has the biggest zoo in the Middle East. And the following morning, my darling husband was busy packing and flying to Johannesburg, trying to get a visa to Kuwait. And then 3 days later, he was in Baghdad. He arrived in Baghdad, and he told the U.S. military, "What are you coming to do?" That I'm coming to save the animals at the zoo. And that was Lawrence. That was my husband. He was a free spirit. He was a pioneer. He was a visionary. He wanted to make a difference in this world. He wanted to change the world. He was a humanitarian as well. He was just a very different kind of man. The kind of man, he had an idea, he had to follow it. Nothing could stop him. Then that's, and I asked him, when he left, I said, how long are you going to be in Baghdad? He said, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks. He came back 6 months later.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Okay. So, well, he picked the right woman in marrying you, because you've continued on with his work tirelessly. And I don't know, I love animals, but I don't know if I'd be able to do what you do. I'm just in awe of everything you do. So I know that we're going to hear about conserving animals, other animals as well. And I know he rescued, the two of you bought that land that used to be a shooting range, and you turned it into a safe place. And that, again, is another beautiful thing.
That's exactly right, yeah. It used to be a hunting game reserve, and we made a sanctuary for all animals. And humans, too.
Yes, and I know you worked with the tribes in the area to make it larger and better. I know we're going to go to a break. Yes. He's going to cue us for a break. There he goes. I knew it was coming up.
Okay.
When we come back, I want you to tell people what it's like to come and visit Thula Thula and what a day might be like. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Hold on.
Thank you so much, Lydia.
Okay.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Okay, we're back, and you're still with us, right, Francois?
Absolutely. I'm still here.
Okay. Just making sure, since you're in the bush. So if I'm going to travel to Thula Thula and I want to have an experience with the elephants and the other animals you can talk about. Tell me what it might be like. I've never traveled there, so just pretend you're telling me about it. I want the listeners to know, because it just sounds so beautiful and, like you say, a spiritual experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we have two lodges. One that we built in 2000 and just one in 2007. We got the Elephant Safari Lodge, a very private 8 individual chalet, all with air conditioning, where we also serve French cuisine, believe it or not, in the bush. It's quite unusual, actually. And then, so we offer packages. It's a fully inclusive stay, where you have 2 game drives per day, 2 safaris per day, one in the morning quite early, and one in the afternoon, and where you discover the world of the animals. So we've got game rangers, very knowledgeable game rangers, very experienced, and lots of them have been here for many years, and they guide you and they share their knowledge and passion of the bush and the animals to the visitors from all around the world. And that's in an effort to make them better acquainted with nature, to raise awareness on the necessity to protect endangered species. You learn about anti-poaching, you learn about all the work we do to protect our wildlife. And you meet we've got hippos called Romeo and Juliet. They've got 2 babies now. We've got one is called Chump, the other one is called Chocolat. It was just born 3 months ago. And we've got baby rhinos as well that we had. They were little orphan rhinos that we got at 4 months and 5 months old. And we have them guarded 24 hours a day. They were right close to my garden today, actually. And those rhinos are guarded by guys who just follow them around the bush the whole day, the whole night. And despite the weather, those guys are just passionate about those rhinos. Rhinos are highly endangered, and so we teach people about that. We tell them what's happening, all the anti-poaching measures we have to take to protect not only the rhinos but all the wildlife. Do you know that there's 3 rhinos killed every day in South Africa? And if it carries on like this, in 20 years, there won't be any more rhinos.
Why do they, Francois, why do they want to kill the rhinos?
Because they want to take their horn. They kill the rhinos for their horns. And the horns is just keratin, actually. But it's just like fingernails and hair. But it's used in traditional Asian medicine. The powder of the rhino horn has got a massive value. It's worth $90,000 a kilo in China, Vietnam, and other Eastern countries. And this is a major problem. So we're facing highly organized kind of criminals who come and get the rhino horn. Last year we had a terrible tragedy. We had a rhino orphanage at Thula Thula, and we had a gang of 5 poachers. They attacked the rhino orphanage, and they killed 2 of our rhinos. They were only 18 months old. So, they could get to anything. So we get alerts. So now the rhino orphanage has become the Thula Thula Wildlife Rescue Center. We have all kind of wildlife now, and the problem, you have to protect animals at all times. So it's a war. It's actually a war. The anti-poaching is a war. We've got a top-notch security system now. We've got cameras all around the game reserve. We've got an anti-poaching team which is permanently doing patrolling in the game reserve. We've got security everywhere. So we have to do that to protect our animals. Unfortunately, that's where we at. in this world of, it's just unfortunate, but we haven't got a choice if we want to keep our animals alive. And we've had to dehorn them as well. On top of that, we've had to dehorn our rhinos. But even with dehorned rhinos, they still try to come and kill them because they still got some horn left, and just for that, they would kill them.
Oh my gosh. I don't understand that, and I know there's people that they post these pictures of these killing of animals just to kill them, and I just don't understand that at all. That's another reason I'm just so grateful for people like yourself that are looking after the animals, because like you say, it is kind of like a war that some people, I don't understand. I understand people killing animals for meat, that they live somewhere and they need to eat, and I understand there's different diets for different people. I just don't understand killing for killing's sake, or, I have a great reverence and respect for life, so it just bothers me greatly.
It is. And killing animals, I mean, there's not even need to kill them, you could just dart them, take their horn, they would still be alive afterwards, if they want to take the horn. But I mean, we have to stop the demand of rhino horn. If they stop, then the killing will stop. It's as simple as this. But unfortunately, China and Vietnam and other countries, there's a huge demand for it, and the price is exorbitant. But it is going to carry on until. But I mean, I must say there's a huge amount of work has been done in anti-poaching, and this has been helping a lot. But you never know. The following morning you might hear that one of your rhinos has been killed. So anyway, we've got drones as well. We've got a drone that we use to fly over the game reserve to check if there are intruders. We've got anti-poaching dogs as well. I mean, it's just like we are the one being so we have to protect ourselves. We have to protect the animals. This is our life. This is what we do, and this is what we teach. We educate our guests about it, because a lot of our guests actually come because they read The Elephant Whisperer, and they fell in love with Nana, with a herd of elephants, and then when they come here, they meet the elephants, of course, but then they hear about the poaching problem, and so it's all about educating and spreading awareness, and so that people know more about what we're going through in Africa in general, because there are no more rhinos up north in the other countries. I mean, the rhino is extinct in so many other African countries. So in South Africa, we've still got a few, so we have to do everything we can to protect them. So we're doing it at a small scale, but a lot of other people try to do the same, hopefully.
Yeah, and I hear the same with elephants, that some people seem to think that elephants are fine, but I hear that elephant numbers are down in places where they were up. So I don't know.
Sorry, I did not.
Well, I've heard people talked about the elephants in different parts of Africa are declining as well.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's one elephant is killed every 15 minutes in Africa. So if you work it out, it means in 20 years' time, there are no more elephants in Africa. So the poaching has started in South Africa. They come and take their tusk. But you know what? Even for what we call the muti, muti means tree in Zulu, but it means as well medicines. For traditional medicines, unfortunately, a lot of animals are endangered. So anyway, so this is what my game rangers, my very knowledgeable game rangers, teach our guests about all this. This is what you come and discover. You reconnect with nature. You learn a lot about not only wildlife, but about about everything which is happening in the world of wildlife nowadays, and it's endangered. A lot of animals are endangered, even giraffes, even hippos. You can take the teeth of the hippos as well. So it's concerning, but we all need to be prepared. Well, all got to know about it and be prepared to do everything we can to protect them.
Yeah, that's important. I was just thinking, if somebody has not been to, Africa and they want to come to Thula Thula, I mean, is it safe? Does someone pick them up at the airport? I mean, these are questions for somebody who's curious, but maybe a little afraid because they don't know. Is it safe where you are? All that kind of stuff. You might want to tell the listeners that.
Absolutely no, it's totally safe. Some media unfortunately are a bit negative sometimes, but yes, I've been living in Africa for 30 years now, and I'm more scared when I take the tube in Paris. So, or in the streets of Paris, I'm more scared. In South Africa, I travel on my own all the time with my little dog, and it's very safe. Our guests, we come and pick them up at the airport. We bring them to Thula Thula. And we've got packages of 8 nights, for example, where we take them in excursions. We show them around the big game reserve, National Game Reserve. We take them to see some of the places around Thula Thula. And then we bring them back to the airport. And they have seen a lot of what the province has to offer. We take them as well, something absolutely fantastic, to the village next door, where we've got what we call a sangoma. She's a diviner. She tells you your fortune. She throws stones and dice on the floor. You go into a little hut, and she goes into trance as well. It's fascinating to watch. And then she tells your fortune, your future. And it's all translated by the game ranger because she speaks only Zulu. But it's quite a fascinating experience. But there as well, in the Zulu village, they say we have good terms with the local communities, with all the chiefs of the area. And then it's totally safe, South Africa. When we come to Thula Thula, anyway, it's very, very safe. There has been some incidents, some other part, but South Africa is a very big country. There are some incidents in France as well. There are some incidents everywhere in the world. And I think that Africa being maybe it's a bit of the unknown for people who live in America, but I can tell you there's a lot of security organized, even if it's not always obvious and seen. There's a lot of security for the tourists, because tourism is one of the biggest industry in South Africa. The tourists are very important, so they're being very much taken care of. There's no danger.
Yeah, that's good for listeners to know. Another thing that I want to say from reading The Elephant Whisperer is, I grew up in Canada and I live in America, and because I was in the city, the only way I did learn respect for wildlife by our local zoo, and I know a lot of people have different opinions about zoos, but what it taught me was to respect wildlife. And so I'm thankful for that. And I, have had experiences out on the ocean with dolphins that were very spiritual. And, but I think that still I had, which is probably a North American or non-bush person, I had not a realistic view of animals too, because, to me, the cuddliness of my dog and my cat and that, and by reading about what it's like for Lawrence to connect with an animal of this magnitude, I mean, the level of trust one would have to have is, in a sense, spiritual, because I remember reading about how, when they were first there, they were uprooting all the trees, that he was saying you can't contain an elephant who doesn't want to be contained. And I was just amazed at how that he talks about that split second where all of a sudden she realized. He said, and he was not, what we call woo-woo about it. He was very matter of fact. Something happened. I don't know what. She just turned around and brought her herd back. And we realized that, she was going to stay. And that is amazing to me. I don't have that gift, and that's why I'm thankful for people like your husband and yourself, because that would be quite an experience for me to experience the magnitude of these animals.
Yeah, absolutely. To gain their trust, to earn their trust, was one of Promise's the most amazing, experience of Lawrence as well. I think Lawrence was not prepared for this. He did it out of his heart. He did it out of his. He wanted to save them. Lawrence was a big-hearted man, and he wanted to help, and he wanted to. He thought it was so unfair that those animals would be shot. The animals are innocent. Animals are not dangerous. People think animals are dangerous, but they're dangerous only if you attack them, or if they don't trust you. I think this is what Lawrence understood. But what Lawrence above all, what he focused on is to get the trust of the matriarch, of Nana, and that's what he succeeded in. And once he got the trust of the matriarch, he gained the trust of the whole herd.
Right. And when we come back from break, what I wanted, because I know we're going to get queued for a break, I want you to tell us some stories about Nana, and you have a new book coming out, and I want you to tell us about your new book that's coming out as well.
Okay.
So hold on to the listeners. Okay, we'll talk to you in a minute. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free, ascendinghearts.com.
Tune in to The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Okay, we are back. I just want to mention before I forget, and we'll say it at the end too, that you can check out all about Thula Thula by going to thulathula.com. That's T as in Tom, H as in Henry, ULA. So it's thulathula.com. It will be posted on my website, on my Facebook page. And if you have any questions at all, getting a hold, or any problems, just contact me. I'm so happy to support this. So we've got Francoise here calling from the bush, and she's going to share a little bit about her new book she's writing and some stories about Nana the matriarch. Go ahead.
Hello, Cynthia. Yes, my book is called An Elephant in My Kitchen, and it's coming out in the US on the 1st of November. It's coming out the 26th of July in the UK, and the beginning of September in South Africa. It's a book about a lot about the adventures, the life I've had after Lawrence passed away. Lawrence passed away 6 years ago, in March 2012, and it's been it's how I faced the reality and the challenges of being on my own. I've got a great team here at Thula Thula. I've got 50 wonderful employees, rangers, and so on. But it's a story of all the adventure and the responsibilities I ended up with. Responsibility for humans as well and animals, and getting into conservation. I was dealing mainly with the lodges before, and with the admin, the marketing, and so on. So I was more on the business side and the hospitality side of the business, and Lawrence was dealing with the animals, and the conservation. And so I had to learn a lot about conservation, and I was thrown into the deep end from the beginning. 2 weeks after Lawrence passed away, one of my rhinos got shot at by poachers. And I had to take new measures of security and had to take new decisions on my own. It was not an easy time. So it's a story of never a dull moment, a story of adventure, but a story as well of beautiful moments, which make it all worth it. Dramatic moments, beautiful moments, like when I got that baby elephant in my kitchen. I got that little baby elephant. One evening at 8 o'clock at night, my chef from the lodge, she wasn't working. We all live, in a big farmhouse next to each other. And she came to knock at my window, and she told me, there's an elephant in the garden, a baby elephant. And I couldn't believe it, because how come a baby elephant, a 10 days old baby elephant, we knew that he was 10 days old because we had a birth 10 days earlier. And how come you end up, it was just completely unusual. He was seen the night before at about 3 a.m. around the tented camp, which is about 5 kilometers from my house. But the people who saw her assumed that joined her somehow, And it's funny because that morning I was just thinking, it would be so nice to have a baby elephant, because I had a baby elephant, baby Thula, 10 years before in my kitchen. So, really, so I just thought it would be nice. We have heard of 29 elephants, and it's a total mystery that she was so far from the herd. So we assume that that baby elephant must have been distracted or playing with branch, and the herd carried on walking and left her behind. It's completely very unusual when you think
what
of
was
the family
what was
structure.
her name? And what was her name?
Her name was Tom. I named that baby elephant after my chef, because she actually saved that baby elephant in a way, because that baby elephant, she hadn't told me, maybe she would have ended up in the middle of nowhere, in the bush. We've got 4,500 hectares at Thula Thula. It's a very large place for a baby elephant, and a very dangerous environment as well. She could have drowned in the river. She could have been taken by a leopard, or hyenas. You never know. So that baby elephant, when we found her, she was very stressed. She was starving. She was lost. So she wasn't rejected. She wasn't hurt or anything. So what we did, we gave her some food. So we pushed her into my house, and she ended up in my kitchen. She was running around my lounge. I've got beautiful photos of her, and she was trying to eat my lounge suite, and she was walking around because she was a bit stressed. So we found some milk that we mixed with water anyway. We didn't have any formula for baby elephant, but we managed. I called. I had a vet nurse here, Alison, and I called her in, and so we gave her some food. That baby elephant just drank so much milk, and then she felt better, and then she had a little nap, like all babies do. And then after that, during that time, I had all the game rangers looking for the herd, because we had to bring her back to her mother. And you mustn't touch too much as well a baby elephant, because otherwise, if you have too much contact with humans, baby elephants, the herd will not take her back. So the rangers were looking for the herd. They found her. So at about 1 o'clock in the morning, we had a pickup Becky, and the ranger, it was 120 kilos, baby elephant. It's not a tiny little thing. So we put her up on the back of the Becky, and we brought her back to her mother. And it was the most amazing thing, because we dropped her. I mean, it's quite courageous from the rangers to do that. You drop off the baby elephant in front of the mother, and there was Nana was there, and she was a granddaughter of Nana. So, and that baby elephant, when looked at the vehicle going away, started running after the vehicle. So it was quite an emotional moment. And then eventually, after that, we monitored her to make sure that she wasn't running away from her mother again. And after that, she didn't leave the side of her mother, and now she's grown into a beautiful, young elephant. She's 4 years old now. It was exactly 4 years ago, that story, exactly 4 years ago. So that's why I named my book.
Beautiful.
That's why I named my book "An Elephant in My Kitchen," because it was quite it's an unusual situation. But my book talks about as well all our conservation projects that we have, the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, where we've got wildlife, we've got little orphan or wounded animals, which are found everywhere, and we look after them, and after that we send them back into the bush, because that's the purpose of rehabilitation. We don't keep them, they're not in a cage. We bring them up until they're a certain age, and then when they are, we let them free and wild, like they should be in the game reserve. And then I talk about the expansion as well of our land with tribal land, and I'm working very closely with the local Amakosi, the chiefs of the local communities, to expand an extra 3,500 hectares. We're starting one part of the expansion very soon. That's to give our elephants more space, because we have a herd of 29 elephants, and we are reaching our maximum capacity. So we have to do that. And then we're opening next month the Thula Thula Volunteers Academy. I've got so many guests come here, and they tell me, Francoise, we love it so much here, we would pay to work here. I say, well, that's a great idea. So we're starting that volunteers camp where people will come, and we'll go to make them work, to make them work in the game reserve, work with animals, work as well at the rehab center, and educate them about the work in the game reserve, which includes a beautiful program, and it's going to be run by game rangers who are going to help people maybe to reconnect with nature, but they're going to work. So it's to be quite an interesting. So it's volunteers can stay for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, up to 6 weeks. That's it. So this is all what we talk about in the book, and plus all the adventures, which are never ending in a game reserve. Every day something happens.
I bet.
You never get bored, in a place like this. You work. We're open every day of the year, and it's 24 hours a day. And I've got beautiful staff members. Absolutely, I've got the most wonderful team here. Some of them have been working here from the beginning, and it's an absolute. It's a life full of passion.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Tell us a story about Nana. Tell us something about Nana.
about Nana.
Or an elephant, Nana, one of the elephant stories, sure.
An elephant story. Okay. Nana, well, I can talk about Nana. Nana is very discreet. Now, did you know she lost one of her eye? You know, she had cataract in one eye, so she's leaving the lead to Frankie. Frankie was the second in charge for a long time. But you know what's beautiful to see is that Nana is still in charge in a way. So Frankie leads the herd, but you see that Nana is always there to advise Frankie. Both of them have got a very strong relationship, and Nana will always be the matriarch. She will always be the spiritual leader in a way. She's getting old now. This is why Frankie has taken the lead. And a beautiful story about Frankie. Frankie is in love with Gobisa. Gobisa is one of our male that Lawrence introduced in 2010. He used to be, well, he was a difficult elephant, a problem elephant as well. So anyway, the book as well tells a beautiful stories about the relationship between the elephants as well, between the adults and between the babies as well. And voila. So I've got so many stories, Cynthia, that I wouldn't know where to start. This is the problem. It's all in the book. Okay.
Yeah. And I look forward to reading that book and sharing that with the listeners because it all sounds so exciting. And, I don't know why it's coming up for me right now, but I think reading about the matriarch society is so interesting. And then hearing how Nana she doesn't just give up, she's sort of guiding Frankie into that role.
Absolutely.
Which is just beautiful.
Absolutely. She is the matriarch, but she will always be the spiritual leader of this herd, always. And she's got an amazing way to calm situations, with the young bulls when they kind of fight. You can see a very gentle approach. Frankie doesn't have the same kind of approach. Frankie is more of a wide, temperamental a little bit. Nana is there to calm everyone, and you spend time watching them. You spend time observing them. You notice all this, and we actually got an elephant specialist here, Thula Thula, a game ranger, and he takes you very, very, very close to the elephants. And the people, when they leave, the guests, they tell me, we've never ever had an experience like this one anywhere else. In wherever we've been to meet elephants, here it's unique. It's unique because this herd of elephants is unique, because the matriarch is unique, because it's a spiritual adventure.
Yeah, it sounds very much like that. And did I read something about Nana sort of teaching Frankie that Lawrence was okay because part of her family was killed by humans, or is that not correct?
Nana, she was, sorry, you cut off at one stage, I don't know why. You mean Nana was brought up by humans?
No, is it correct that Nana taught Frankie that Lawrence was safe?
Yes, absolutely. She taught the whole herd. Nana was the elephants, they communicate with each other, and Nana did because we had an incident with Frankie at the beginning when Frankie charged us, Lawrence and I, when we were on the motorbike, That's in the book, The Elephant Whisperer, and that was one of the most scary experiences in our lives.
I bet.
And I really, that day we thought we were going to die. And it was in 1999, right after the herd had been released from the boma, from the enclosure. And we really thought we were going to die with Lawrence. And the encounter with Frankie made us realize that they were white elephants. And, it was going to take a bit of time to gain their trust. But Nana, what Nana used to do? When Numzan or Frankie were trying to not attack us, but run after the car, Nana used to block them sideways and block them, like to tell them, no, don't attack them or don't charge them. That's what Nana was doing. And they were respecting that.
I thought I had read that. That's just beautiful. So I know we only have a minute left, and I want to just remind people, it's thulathula.com. I'll have things on my Facebook, my webpage. Thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope we get to talk again. Thank you, Francoise.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. It was wonderful to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. I'm glad it worked out. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Bye-bye.
You're so welcome. We'll be in the room in just a moment.